This is Skywatcher Skyliner Flextube 300P 12-inch telescope. It's one of the best telescopes I've used. It's easy to manage. One person can handle it. It's heavy if you want all the time to move it, but you can do it. And the views I got with this is exceptional. It's really good. I like it, and I recommend if you can afford, if you can find second-hand, just get one of these. About to go to, sometimes it can be, or most of the times it's just a waste of time because you just cannot find. Simply because most of the time your time will be spent just star aligning, 2 star or 1 star. Makes it really difficult, doesn't work in my opinion. So better to go with the manual one. If you want a bigger telescope that is guided, get a 8-inch one on a Dobsonian mount. No, sorry, on an equatorial mount, and yeah, just use that. Or Schmidt-Cassegrain will do if you use a something like a focal reducer to make it more wide angle. Okay, it's a very frosty night tonight, and I searched, and I saw it immediately. M51, Canis Veneciti. It's a double galaxy. One spiral arm extends to the next nearby galaxy. And I'm not here more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I went to the tail of the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. And from the tail I just went slightly south, and it is there. I found it. That's easy. And I can see another galaxy in the same field of view. It's amazing. It's the other one is Aegean, kind of near Aegean galaxy. This is really a good eyepiece for finding objects. I have the Televue Nebula tape 531mm, but that's a little bit odd at the edges. And definitely you need probably something like a one of those paracores to correct the coma. This one doesn't have coma, doesn't show any coma. It seems corrected for that. It's 68 degrees, so it has a better part of the field of view of 82 cut down to 68. In the M51 galaxy, double galaxy, first thing you see is the cores, which are bright, then the edges, and clearly it has a spiral arm. You can see the spiral arms if you look carefully. It looks almost like a circle, but if you look carefully you see that one of them, that bigger galaxy, actually the arms comes around and then get close slightly to the core, bright core. Oh, I cannot believe the field of view is littered with the very dimmer nebulosity, which are galaxies practically. That's unbelievable. Okay, I'm now using the Televue Ethos 13mm 100-degree eyepiece, and you can clearly see the spiral arms, and one of them actually comes close to the core of the main member of the M51, a pair of galaxies. I'm going to use a 3.5mm eyepiece SWA Skywatcher just to see how it will look, for the sake of seeing that if does it work with the Dobsonian, or does it work to have such a high power eyepiece with the Dobsonian. Let's do it. Okay, this is a Skywatcher 3.5mm eyepiece. SWA fully multi-coated, 70 degrees field of view. It doesn't work on the galaxies, definitely. It's too narrow field of view, too much magnification. You cannot see where you're looking. You cannot even focus it because there is nothing in the field of view. Unless it's a real bright object like a planet, it does not worth to have it. But if you have a object like a planet to observe, bright planets, that's something to consider. Or moon, probably. Does it worth to get something like that? For a refractor, yes. For a Dobsonian, no, because you have to, practically in this mount, it's impossible to actually direct it in a way that you can find the target. So I go back to the larger field of view. Okay, now I'm using the APM 13mm eyepiece, and I don't see much difference between this and what I could see with the Televue Ethos 13mm. At least on this target, which is a dim galaxy M51. Okay, using this 30mm APM 100-degree eyepiece, I can see the notch in the smaller component of the M51 galaxy. It's like a darkness. You have to use averted vision, but it's clear. You don't need much effort. It's clear. When your eyes get dark adapted, you can clearly see this. And also the dark lanes inside the nebulosity of the M51 main component galaxy. Those darknesses, those dark lanes define the shape of the spiral arm. It's very clear. You can see two spiral arms clearly going around in a closed, twisted fashion. Now I'm back to the Ethos 13mm, and immediately I noticed a difference because the memory of the APM 30mm is fresh. I can say this is sharper. I can see more details in the M51 double galaxy. Definitely this is sharper, and I can see more details. And what I can also add is that APM 13mm is not parafocal with the Ethos 13mm. So they are not parafocal. It means that you have to change the focus. It doesn't work like that, that you put one in the place of another and they come into focus. They are not in focus with each other. The interesting thing, I can see the actual North American Nebula is so big and so huge, clear. Beside all the star clouds in the Cygnus. Let me try to photograph this. Well, before that, look at the snow and ice crystals and the chicken coop. Okay, I'm now using the Ethos 8mm. Of course, it doesn't come to focus if you don't use a extension tube. With the extension tube, it comes to focus. The telescope is the Skywatcher Skyliner Flextube 300P. Focal length is 1500, so divided by that 8, you see the magnification I'm using. What is interesting is that I can see hydrogen 2 regions in the spiral arms of the M51 main bigger member galaxy. Hydrogen 2 regions are the star forming regions that have younger stars and are brighter. They'll appear like patches of light which are brighter than the rest of the galaxy. Hallelujah, I found the M101, Messier 101. It definitely is bigger than the Messier 51 pair of galaxies that they are. Bigger, but much dimmer. So more look like a comet without a nucleus. I don't see any details, fuzzy, very fuzzy. You can see some moments you can see a brighter core, slightly brighter center core, but not like a star-shaped nucleus of a comet. So it's a galaxy. And I may just change the... this 40mm Maxvision is the best Finder Eyepiece that I've came across using it. Really lovely. So let's change to a different eyepiece just to see what we can see. Okay, I'm now using the APM 20mm 100-degree eyepiece and looking at the M101. Definitely now you can see brighter. It's very diffuse optic, first of all. It's larger than the M51. It's very diffuse. It's almost like a mist. But when you increase the from 40mm 68 degrees to 20mm 100 degrees, increased magnification give you a better view. You see some mottled patches near the center. Barely, maybe you can see very tight arms. At the center there is a slight brightness, not much, but there is also a star near the center, so that's the foreground star, I suppose. And there's another foreground star just near the spiral arm, superimposed on the spiral arm to the south of that lower part of that. So in general, there's not much to see here in this, unless you spend a lot of time just looking at it. But interesting to know that Charles Messier and the contemporary of him, why they compiled the list of the deep sky objects, just to make sure that nobody confuses them with the comets, because they're always there. Comets move. These things are always there. They don't move. At least we don't see them in our lifetime. And so, in that sense, it's more like a comet. It's a galaxy very far away. Taking your eyepieces to the field can be a risky business because they're very expensive and they can be damaged if you drop them or anything. Even in the normal situation in your home or observatory, if you're lucky enough to have one. So I use this oldie tool bag for this. It's flexible, at the same time it's big enough and wide enough, right the size for the housing most of my eyepieces. This is my Maxvision 40mm eyepiece, 68 degrees. I use it as a viewfinder eyepiece. And these are the APM 20 and 13mm 100-degree eyepieces, and Ethos 13 and 8mm eyepieces. At this time of the year, which is the springtime, and we see a lot of galaxies, we are looking outward toward the intergalactic space. These are the eyepieces that are useful for, I found it useful. This also has another panel view, 38mm 70 degrees eyepiece, another one of the good one that I use as a Finder Eyepiece. Of course, when I'm using this, probably I don't use that one. That's really good. That's really good. That's superb. I may use also Morpheus, depending, but when you have Ethos or APM 13, Morpheus doesn't come in too much use. I use this also as a fun, just to see how it will look. Surprisingly good views. Celestron Silver Top 50mm. And I try to test this to see if it works with the Dobsonian and the diffuse nebula. Practically no, don't use it, because this is for planetary use. On the moon, bright objects like planets is good. And faint fuzzies, no, you cannot even focus it, simply because you don't see where they are, and magnification will be too high. So this is my eyepiece case for carrying to the field. And this is the appearance of the M51 pair. Is optical, in optical wavelengths by the Hubble Space Telescope, then X-ray captured by the Chandra Orbital Telescope, and they are now superimposed on each other. Enjoy this view, it's nice. And here you can see the astrophotos of this pair of galaxies. You can see actually the other one, the smaller member of this star system, actually has arms. You can see it, they're interacting really well.